Hello and welcome once again. I have driven up on you without any prior warning. There, let me fix myself so I look presentable to my own enormous ego. Alright, so today we are going to talk about how to unplug from the matrix in the job scenario. I can't speak for anybody else, but I know for me, working for somebody else felt like this. I can remember years ago, I've done so many things in my life. After I went to college and went to a Bible college, and I was going to be a Christian minister, um, a Protestant Christian minister. I used to preach on the street. I used to perform exorcisms and do all that crazy stuff. And I went to a Bible school, Biola University, which is a very good school. It was a very hard school, but and I read the Bible in Greek and Latin, and I studied classics, and then after being in that for almost 4 years, I realized that that was not going to serve me, and that I didn't belong doing that, and I had a crisis of faith, and I quit. And I went into 6 months later. I went back to college, Cal State Fullerton, and I studied acting. And then I left and I started a theater company in Hollywood, and I was directing and acting and doing auditions for TV and film and all that. And then I got into doing all kinds of stuff. And anyway, I ended up leaving Christianity, and throughout all those years of trying to make it as an actor, I did, of course, every odd job that existed in the world, and things were a lot more difficult back then to get a job because you didn't have the internet. And if you wanted to work for yourself, it was a lot harder to get things going. At one point, I had a pretty good martial arts, like Qigong class going. I was teaching in a park. And then I made the mistake of allowing at that time, my teacher, he came in and drove away my students and took half of my money, and then his teacher came in and shut down my class, and I was just stuck with almost nothing. And then I moved to Idaho, and I married somebody, that I wasn't really aligned to, and that's when I started teaching more and more, and teaching the stuff that I had learned over the years while, in my spare time while I was trying to become an actor. And I can remember, there were times when I had to take jobs in order to survive while I had all these other things going on. And I would take sales jobs, and I would always rise up in the ranks and I never became number one salesman, but I would always become number two. And not that I was trying to, I was just simply being myself. And without trying, I was able to get to the number two slot. And I had my little cubicle, and I was on the phone all the time. And I remember I would drive home from that job, and I was probably, at that time, I was probably in my early 30s, late 20s, early 30s. And I would drive home, and I would drive past the beach, at sunset, after having spent, only maybe 4 or 5 hours, but I had just a pounding headache, because those sales jobs were just such a drain on my life force, and trying to sell stuff to people that they didn't need, and having to meet quotas and all that other crap. I just hated it. I was miserable. But what did you do? You had to make money. You had to have a job. And even though I was making, I wasn't rich by any means, but I was surviving. And I would, after having made X amount of sales, as I'm loosening my tie that I hated wearing, my monkey suit, that hang yourself from that thing, I would drive past the beach, and I would see people surfing, and I would say to myself, those people actually lived today. They actually accomplished something. They connected to reality. And then I would, try and make a living, as an actor, and do my theater and teach and act, and every now and then I might get a little bit part on a TV show, or something like that. And of course that never came through. So, working was tough. And then when the internet came around, then it became a lot easier. Believe it or not, it became a lot easier to make money. I mean, there's a lot more ways to make money now. And I made a decision a while back that my happiness was more important than anything else. When I was in my theater company, and we were putting on a show that, and I was working two other jobs at the same time, labor jobs. I think one was refilling fire extinguishers, and I forget what the other one was. And I'm doing those things while I'm acting in a show and I'm teaching at this theater. And I was so angry because I wasn't making it, and I wanted to become a big movie star so I could show everybody in my life, show my parents that I made it and I was somebody. And all of that anger about not getting what I wanted and how difficult it was, and feeling like a victim, ended up putting me in the hospital with kidney stones. And I didn't have normal kidney stones, where you just kind of have to, it's painful and they pass. Mine was so big it blocked my urethra, and so I had to go in for surgery. And I remember waking up out of that surgery with tubes, big giant tubes coming out of little tiny holes, and being in a lot of pain, and because they had to climb up my hoo-ha in order to break it up. So it was pretty invasive. And I remember lying in that hospital room, looking up at the ceiling in a ton of pain, feeling like I was going through some Nazi experiment. And I realized I had been stressed out over money. And at that time, I was only drinking coffee and Hansen's soda to get my, so obviously that helped create a kidney stone, but also anger, intense rage also helps to create kidney stones. And so as I sat, in that hospital bed in a ton of pain, realizing how much energy I had put towards feeling angry about not being rich and not being successful and not feeling like I had control over, my income, I made the decision that I was no longer going to ever feel like that again. And I made the decision that I was going to focus my life on enjoying my life. And that as long as I was comfortable, that I had a place to sleep, that it was quiet, that I was, had clothes, and that I had food, even if I was hugely in debt, I decided that that's all I was going to care about. And I've gone into debt numerous times in my life. Because I was more interested in being comfortable and happy than I was in having money. And that rat race of running around trying to make a lot of money and being something in society was killing me. And I made that decision after that operation to get rid of that kidney stone, that I was never going to put myself in that again. And so, now I didn't do it perfectly, and I'd run into periods where I'd start to stress out about money, and then I'd stop and I'd remember and I'd ask myself, did I have food? Did I have clothing? Did I have a place to sleep? And if the answer was yes, then I'd say, then I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to stop worrying, and tomorrow I'll do whatever I'm going to do. So, I have luckily found ways to make a living doing what I want to do. I don't do anything I don't want to do. I never work more than I want to. I make sure that I'm comfortable and happy, and that my life is focused on me, and that what I do for a living is secondary to me being happy. And so I've had a lot of awarenesses about why people work and why people make money and why we get plugged into that matrix where, like, again, for me it felt like this. Going to work for somebody else felt like this. And so today, for the next hour and a half, I'm going to be talking to you about how to unplug yourself from the matrix. I think I've come up with some ways that you can determine for yourself what you are supposed to do in life and what you can do to be like me, to make your life be your life and have your work be something else. You know, in Europe, they're coming to this realization. They have something like 3 or 4 day work weeks, and the idea of working is all secondary. People have, you know, a lot more vacations than we do built into the system. You know, 2 weeks a year for a vacation, 2 weeks out of the year, really? And they only work a few hours a day. You know, and so there's really no need to do what we do here and work 8 hours, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. You know, really, and when the weekend is over, do you feel rested? No, it's like you've barely caught up on your sleep, and then you have to go back to that ridiculous just grind just to be able to survive. So we've definitely got things backwards. But the good news is that not only, in my experience, have things gotten easier. One of the things that's missing is that people are not getting educated. I'll tell you that. It is, you know, I'm just going to tell you straight out, getting an education is very good. I make a living because I educated myself, and I'm not just talking about the School of Hard Knocks. You know, I heard Ted Nugent say recently that he didn't go to college because he was too busy learning stuff. And the reason he said that is because he has a disdain for people that actually have an education. He feels insecure, and so he has to criticize them and imply that they haven't learned anything. Having said that, I also know that you know, just because somebody's gone to college doesn't mean they actually have any life experience. But education is really important, and I highly recommend going to school for the sake of going to school. You know, when I was in those first 4 years of college, towards the end of that, I changed my major and became a humanities classics major, which means I studied philosophy and language and history and, you know, poetry and art. And, you know, I did that. I didn't think about, I did that because it fed me. And I remember telling people, and this was a long time ago, things are even worse now. I mean, you don't even have to go and learn history now if you go to college. But I remember telling people, they say, what's your major? And I'd say humanities classics, and they'd go, what the hell are you going to do with that? Like, you know, the only reason to go to college was to have something that you could go make money off of. But I'm telling you, if you really, nowadays, if you want to be able to work for yourself, you have to be educated. And I could go on and on about the state of politics in this country and the state of the mindset of the average voter, and the reason why we have two different news delivery systems where you have people who are getting completely different news from the other, and both of them are calling each other fake news. If you're educated, you will know what is news and what is fake news. And people who are uneducated are people who can't tell the difference. So I'm not going to tell you which side I'm on, but I am going to tell you, if you want to be successful and happy in life, I recommend getting educated. Whether that means going to college or whether that means actually picking up books and reading and verifying what you read instead of just believing whatever somebody tells you. Education is really important. I do what I do, and I'm acknowledged and respected because people can tell I know what I'm talking about. I can back up what I say. You know, there's again, people are, when they come onto these Q&As, are asking me questions about other teachers that I don't know anything about, and I go and I watch their stuff, and I am kind of flabbergasted. You know, I don't understand the appeal of some of these teachers out there. They don't present themselves well, they don't communicate well, they don't back up anything that they say. You know, people believe, you just throw out a statement and people believe it. And, you know, so I do my best to try and back up everything that I say, to explain to you where my thoughts come from. If it's from personal experience, I share that with you. If it's from because I've studied it and I've researched it, I tell you that. I'll tell you one last thing before I get off of this. You know, lots of times people want to argue with me about things I don't agree with. I won't get into it, but, you know, things that don't have any scientific basis to them. And people will say, you should do your research. And what they mean by that is I should watch the videos that they've watched. And I do. And I find that those videos have no basis to them. There's no research, true research behind them. So just because you watch somebody's video or because you listen to InfoWars, that does not constitute research. And just because I don't agree with somebody doesn't mean I haven't done research. And it doesn't mean that if I choose not to watch 100 videos by some person who has proven to me that they are not getting their information from credible sources, that doesn't mean I'm not doing my research. So people have this idea that because they watch videos or read crazy alternative viewpoints, that somehow they've done research. Research means you look at both sides of the subject. Both sides. Not just the ones that appeal to what you want. If you truly want to know about a subject, you watch the ones that appeal to you, and then you say, okay, now I'm going to listen to the other side, and I'm going to see what they have to say. And you take your personal agenda out of it. So that's one of the main things, again, if you want to be successful, one of the main things you got to do is you got to get your personal agenda out of the way. And that goes with being a victim. Victims can't take their personal agenda away from their opinion. They can't remove their emotional attachment to a viewpoint from their opinion. So anyway, that's a whole other subject. But we're talking about how to unplug from the job matrix. So I want you to take a look at this list here, because these are the questions I'm going to ask you over again the next hour and a half. So take a look at this while I see if there's anybody online. Okay, so YouTube likes lists, so I compiled a list here, which would be questions that I would ask you if I were counseling you. And I do, by the way, I do counsel people. If you're looking just to have a counseling session with me, if you're not a first level apprentice, which if you go to thunderwizard.com, you can sign up at that level. But I also take clients, and the way to do that is to go to astrology.thunderwizard.com and just click on the Vedic Astrological Buy Now button, even if you've had that, and just send me an email saying I purchased a Vedic Astrological reading, but I'm just looking for personal session or consulting on how to go into business for myself. So I do help people with that, and I think I can help you with that. Now, the main issue here is to look at, what's going on in your unconscious attachments. And so the first thing you want to ask yourself is, how did I put this list together? Yeah, you want to ask yourself, is your job serving you? Is your job serving you? It is definitely valuable to be of service to society. But if you are going to be of service to society, if you are a service-oriented person, in my experience, you're going to be far more effective if you're doing something that you enjoy. So I am technically in a service-oriented profession because I'm teaching. But I'm teaching things that I would want to learn. So you got to be selfish in life. To be successful, you have to be selfish and be honest about it. And I don't mean selfish in the sense of getting what you need at other people's expense. I'm not talking about stealing from people. I'm not talking about that kind of selfishness. I mean, thinking about, again, in order to understand, where this is coming from, we have to look at how the matrix serves you. Because working in the work world, especially nowadays, is definitely, being plugged into the matrix. You're into the financial system, the banking system, the government tax system. And so, if you don't have the wherewithal to create your own brand in life, then it's easy to get lost in that. So let's first just go back, understand the rules of the matrix, how the matrix works. Because if you understand that, then the other things I'm going to tell you are going to make more sense. So let's just take a look at that. what are the 5 rules of the matrix? So again, the matrix is when there's a job. People are using the word matrix for all kinds of different things, but we're talking about the job. But really, what we want to talk about, because jobs are within the matrix, government is within the matrix, society is within the matrix. So jobs are not the matrix; they are a part of it. The matrix is a web of life force energy that has consciousness to it. And that consciousness of the matrix responds to your belief about yourself and your intent, your choices, your actions. So generally speaking, the matrix and the world itself is designed to respond positively to fearlessness. Now I want to, just because, I've trained, as you know, I've trained in martial arts, and I've trained with some seriously badass people. I think I'm pretty, of course I could be wrong, but I think I'm pretty close to being accurate when I say that the people that I trained with are probably among the 10 most deadly human beings on the planet. That, you just would not believe their ability to protect themselves. They're fearless physically. You could put them in a room with 20 guys with machetes and guns, and they would have no fear about taking on and destroying everybody in that room. But when you ask them to look at their own feelings, they are scared to death. In fact, they're bravado. They will pick fights with people if they feel emotionally intimidated. That's how insecure they are. So I'm not talking about that kind of fearlessness. I'm talking about the kind of fearlessness that says that I'm not going to live my life for other people. In the sense of I'm not going to just do things that will gain people's approval. I'm not going to live my life in a codependent way where I want to do whatever other people say I should do in order to be accepted in society or in my family or in whatever. I'm going to live my life for my own happiness and my own peace and my own joy, and I'm going to be fearless about that. When you operate from that kind of fearlessness, the matrix, this web of life force energy that manifests everything around us, responds positively to that and will reward you. Now, you may not respond positively to that. You may actually feel guilty and fearful and all kinds of other things. And it's important to understand that, because you can't be successful working for yourself if you have these blocks about, how to live, and are you having conflict with yourself about living for yourself or living for others? Because as you become successful, what's going to happen is, if you have those, and I did, when you have those blocks in your unconscious, the first thing that's going to happen is that you are going to feel very uncomfortable. You're going to feel guilty, and you're going to find yourself sabotaging yourself. The people that complain the most about how unfair the world is are people who have these kinds of blocks. And I'm willing to bet the ones that are the most complaining about how unfair the universe is and how unfair the workaday world is, and you can't get a break, and the government and taxes and all that kind of stuff. If I dig deep enough, I'm going to find in their unconscious that they have parents who probably sabotaged their success, and they, whether they realize it or not, are trying to make their parents happy and still get their parents' love and approval, because their parents probably said the same things. Probably went on and on about how life is unfair and you can't get a break, and the government this and that. And I gotta tell you, I won't point people out, but when I hear people complaining about the government, a lot of them are people who have labor jobs, who want somebody to come along and give them a job, but then they go off and talk about freedom and taxes. But if you gave them the opportunity, they wouldn't know how to work for themselves. they need somebody else to come along and give them a job. So if you really honestly believe in freedom, and if you really honestly want to be free, then you got to drop the whole victim mentality. The government and the job, place and people and all that kind of stuff is there. But if you are operating from fearlessness, the universe is going to give you all kinds of passes. I could go into a lot of examples of how the universe gives me all kinds of passes monetarily. But I'm not going to get into that because for reasons I won't get into, I'm not going to get into that. But just trust me on this. When you operate from fearlessness and when you make the decision that you're going to have everything you need and you're going to be comfortable and you're going to be happy and you're only going to live for yourself and do what you want, if you take continued action in that regard, the universe, the matrix, will respond by rewarding that. So the second part of that is the matrix punishes people who operate out of fear, which means I just got through saying, when you remember that the matrix doesn't understand that you don't know any better. The matrix thinks that you know your God. The matrix is here to serve you. And so it's not here to educate you. It is only here because you created the matrix. You created this web of life force energy and you created the rules. Somebody asked me, who created the rules? You did. Before you got here, you did. So whether you believe that or not, just trust me, I can tell you from experience, just assume that what I've just told you is true. If you assume that that is true and make actions and decisions based on that, you're going to see that life is going to respond positively to you, even if you have your own fears in your own unconscious. You have to take contrary action. You have to take action contrary to your own self-sabotage, your own victim mentality. Okay? So let me do some business and then let me see if there are any questions about this. Let's see, which one do I want? I think I want this one. Okay, so the only question, again, let me tell you how to best interact with me, to best make use of your time with me, is to ask me a question. I will take any questions you have about anything, but especially on the topic of how to be self-sufficient financially and to work for yourself. The only question I saw was, what are the best books or DVDs for somebody starting out in shamanism? So the first thing I'm going to tell you is that my channel, both this one and the thunderwizard.com subscription channel, is completely devoted to teaching you full spectrum shamanism. Not just bits and pieces, but the whole thing. So if you want, you can go online to thunderwizard.com, sign up at the $25 level, scroll to the bottom and watch all those videos. You can also scour this channel. Once again, this channel, I have hundreds of videos. Some of them, there's information on there that I could easily charge thousands of dollars to teach, all kinds of secret techniques. So go through and watch the playlists. I'm still in the process of organizing the playlists so that you can go by different topics. Start with any of them. But if you're interested in books, go to michaelwilliamdenny.com, DENNEY.com, and scroll through the books. You can start with the Thunder Wizard Path. That's a good one. Another one is Thunder Shamanism, and the video Thunder Shamanism, the DVD Thunder Shamanism. those are good places to start. But truth is, I try to create my material so that regardless of where people are at, they can sort of, it's like a hologram. You can come in at any door and you'll get to the center. So if runes are your thing, you can start with runes. If energy work is your thing, you can start with celestial qigong. If ritual is your thing, shamanism, you can start with thunder shamanism. So maybe I've made things more confusing, but that's where I would start. If it were me and I was starting from the beginning, I would sign up at least at the $25 level on Patreon, the thunderwizard.com site, and start from the beginning with those videos. Then I would get the Thunder Wizard Path and Thunder Shamanism, and I would start from there. So that's what I would do. Okay, let's see if there are any other questions. Okay, so you think the universe would help with finding a trustworthy babysitter when you don't have family? Yes. I mean, that's a very specific question, but you could ask that same question. Will the universe help with finding a fill in the blank, whatever you need? Yes. Here's how it works. You make a decision. You make a firm decision. If what you need is a babysitter, you make a firm decision that you are going to find a babysitter, that the universe is going to provide you one, and then you take the action, whether that's, I don't know, go online or whatever it is that you would do. I don't have kids, so I don't know how you go about getting a babysitter. And then just start taking action. The universe responds to fearlessness. If you're in fear and you are like, oh my God, I can't find a babysitter, and what they cost so much. This is a big thing. People come to me and they want my help and they complain about money. I mean, people complain about $25 a month. Unbelievable. People complain about $100 a month. Unbelievable. I know that people spend far more money on cell phones and on cable TV and food and beer and all gas for their car. I mean, really. And it's not like I'm talking about buying something that costs $10,000 or $5,000, and even then, if you wanted it, you'd find a way to get it. So make the decision that you're going to get everything that you need, and that you deserve to get everything that you need, and you will have it. Make that firm decision within yourself. Now, the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to bump into your own victim mentality and or your own self-sabotage, which is all that victim mentality is. It's self-sabotage. And when you indulge in that, then you're going to find excuses for why you can't do this and why you can't do that and why the universe doesn't do this and all that kind of stuff. So make the decision. It may sound like I'm being harsh, but I'm just telling you what worked for me. I just made the decision. When I was sick, I couldn't function, and I was in a miserable situation, and I had no options, and I was 49 years old, and I thought that I was going to just be sick and I almost went on disability. I was this close to it. And I made the decision. I made the firm decision that I was going to be healthy and I was going to be happy and I was going to do everything I wanted to do. And then regardless of how I felt, no matter how sick I felt, no matter how depressed I was, no matter how much crap I got from other people in my life, I went after what I wanted. And I'm in, I feel stronger and younger than I ever have in my life. I'm, going to be 54 here in a couple of months, and I'm not kidding you. I get hit on by 20-something-year-old girls all the time, and that's just one example. I mean, that's good for my ego, so that works for me. But, really, I mean, it's just, you can have what you want, but you have to make the decision that you deserve it. So we could talk. I'll talk more about that. Let me see if there are any other questions, and we'll move on to the next thing here. When are you going to have another sale in your Vedic readings? Do we need to know the exact minute of birth? I will have another sale in my Vedic readings if and when my business goes down, but I've made the decision that it's not, that it's going to go up. So I don't know when. Probably my Vedic readings are going to, the price is probably going to go up here pretty soon. So that, I'm just telling you, Travis, that attitude of waiting for the sale is kind of akin to victim mentality, because the amount of money you would save is, you know, what, $30, $40. It's really peanuts. If you really want a Vedic reading, just buy one. I mean, I'm getting busy now, so I don't need one at this moment, but I'm just telling you, get what you need. Who cares if I charged $500, if I charged $1,000 for a Vedic reading? Trust me, if you follow my advice in those readings, it's well worth it. So who cares about the money? Again, don't get caught up in how much things cost. Go after what you want. Just go get it. Do we need to know the exact minute of birth? Yes. Even 15 minutes can change things. So, you know, do whatever you have to do. Contact. I'm pretty sure that every hospital has, you know, birth times, and you can find that out if you know, look for it. But yes, you do need exact time of birth. Question: I keep going from job to job and I'm never happy. Where I high? I don't know what that means, but we're going to talk about that. I'm going to tell you how to find a job that will make you happy. By the way, anybody, again, if I don't address your exact question, you know, you can get a session with me, and I can probably help you within one session to help you find what you're supposed to do. Being able to take action toward it, that's a whole other thing. But I can help you find out probably what you're supposed to do. Sorry to keep asking questions, but your Thunder Shamanism book has info on clearing out your lower self, right? Or do you have a better book for that? I don't remember what's in it, but all of my stuff will have that. Don't focus too much on one thing. You're right to want to clear out your lower self, but any of the exercises I teach you will do that. So just go after the teaching, and you will run into that. Don't, you know, this is another thing people do before they start anything. This is very Western, very American. People will contact me and say, I want to know exactly what I'm going to learn. You know, if you go into the East, if you go into China or India or Africa even, and you walk in with that kind of attitude, they're going to go, there's the door. I can't teach you. Because a teacher's going to want to teach you. They already know, because they've been where you're at, they already know what the best way is to help you. So, you know, going into it, trying to know ahead of time, this is, again, we look at everything as like, when it comes to spiritual teaching, we in the West have a very consumer mindset about it, and we think that, you know, we're going to look at a menu and we're going to pick from a menu, and we're going to tell, I want this without cheese, and put the sauce on the side and the butter on the side and all that. And that doesn't help you when you're dealing with teachers. Real teaching. So if you're attracted to my teaching, just learn it. If you want to work with me and you have questions, I'll help you. But it doesn't serve you to have those kinds of limiting questions going into it. And I know it sounds like, you know, I sound like every other teacher, just do what I say, but it's true. That's an American mindset. You know, the whole idea of emptying your cup. You know, you can't learn anything if your cup is full. So you got to empty your cup. Just assume, if you trust me, that I probably have a pretty good idea of how to best help you, especially if, you know, you communicate with me. But trying to figure it out ahead of time may not be the best way to do it. But having said that, don't feel guilty about asking questions. Ask any question you want. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Okay? So thank you for your question. Have I done blood over intent? Not specifically. I have done blood ritual, but I haven't done blood over intent. Go and watch my videos about blood over intent and what I say about it. Sorry, where I go, I just feel like a slave. Yeah, you probably are a slave. Am I right to feel that there is something wrong with me? You are right to have that feeling. There is no such thing as a wrong feeling. You are probably out of your alignment with yourself, which makes you feel like something is wrong with you. But that is easily fixed. And so it's okay to have your feelings, But again, the universe, the matrix, responds to fearless action, and that is regardless of how you feel. In order to act fearless, you don't need to feel fearless. In fact, you will get afraid, you will get confused, you will be insecure, especially if you have unconscious issues that you're going to fight with. Your resistance will come up, especially if you work with me. But it's okay. You don't have to worry about how you feel. You should feel all of your feelings, but don't let your feelings stop you from taking action. I'm going to teach you how to take actions to get what you want. The universe will respond to your fearless actions, not necessarily your fearless feelings, unless you indulge in them and take action on them. And most people who struggle with this don't know the difference, and they take actions on their feelings. And so they don't know the difference between feelings and actions. They're one and the same. Once you have a feeling, you take an action on it. So you do have to have some discipline to know how to have your feelings and take what's called contrary action. Okay? And I'll teach you how to do that. If I order the Vedic reading today, will it be ready within a fortnight? It depends on how many people, but yeah, it'll be. Here's how it works. If you order a Vedic reading, what happens is that I get an email. I then respond to your email and I say, thank you for purchasing a Vedic reading. Please respond to this email with your birth information. And then I tell you, and once you've done that, then go to, and I give you a specific link to go to schedule a session. So you can pick the session, but there should be time, within 2 weeks you should be able to find a session. And then by the time that you do have that session with me, if you're out of the country, it'll be via Skype. If it's within the USA, then it'll be by phone. And I will send you notes, and then everything will get set up. So short answer is yes, it will be ready within a fortnight. What do I think about the law of attraction, desiring a lot of money? I've talked about this before, but it's a great question, so I will answer it. The law of attraction says that what you focus on is what you get. And that is only partially true. Again, there's all these teachings out there, there's a reason why they're popular. It's because they're at least partially correct. So the law of attraction, or the secret, is not completely correct, it's only partially correct. And desiring a lot of money means nothing. Having a lot of money means nothing. Here's where the law of attraction goes off. The way the universe works is that you have been programmed in your soul with what I call a soul desire, which is your destiny. But your destiny is not what somebody imposes on you, or God imposes on you, or karma imposes on you. Your destiny is what your deepest desire is. A lot of people don't know what their deepest desire is. And when you go after what makes you truly happy, regardless of the cost or the risk, when you operate from the assumption that the only thing you need in life is to be happy and to follow your happiness, then you're not going to be concerned with how much money you get. This is why there are, yogis who live in the forest that don't own anything, and they're naked ascetics who live in the forest and have nothing and are perfectly happy. Because they understand that the universe provides everything that they need as long as they're following their deepest desire. Now, their deepest desire happens to be to live in the forest and be completely connected to nature and to the universe, and so all of their needs are met because they are following their inherent program that they built within themselves. So having a lot of money doesn't mean anything, because I know that everybody listening to me knows of somebody, either personally or a celebrity, who has millions or billions of dollars and is sick and miserable. Look at Michael Jackson. He had as much fame as anybody could possibly have. He had as much money as anybody could tolerate. He had respect. He had he was acknowledged as a, whether you like his music or not, everybody acknowledges that he was extremely talented. But he died from overdosing on one of the most expensive drugs possible. He was addicted to drugs and it killed him. He was miserable. So money and fame and all that stuff means nothing. People go after a lot of money because they believe the universe won't provide for them. And how many beds do you need to sleep in at one time? How many cars can you drive at one time? Having a lot of stuff is not going to do anything, and it's not going to prevent you from being physically sick. I know that firsthand. I mean, I wasn't super rich, but I had a big house and I had all the stuff, and I was miserable and in pain and sick. So those people who follow the law of attraction and are saying $1 million, $1 million, $1 million, they're not operating from their soul desire. They are operating from the assumption that they're not going to get what they need. They're operating from fear. And so how many people do you know that have been following the law of attraction for years and still live in, studio apartments, but they're focusing on $1 million every day? It's because the universe is going to respond to your soul desire. When you take action based on your soul desire, the universe is going to know, the matrix is going to know, and it's going to go, oh, get that person what they need to fulfill their deepest desire. It's all about fulfilling your deepest desire. Let's give them what they need. And when you're not following that, like when you say, I need $1 million to be happy, if I just had $1 million, then I could do what I want. The universe is going, wow, that person's in a lot of fear. Okay, hold off. They're not following their deepest desire. Don't give them anything. Because it punishes you for operating in fear. Why? Because it's designed to help you follow your soul desire. And the most important thing is to have happiness and joy in your life. And we're going to talk about how to determine that. So that's the short answer to that question. Let's see, what else? Been doing a lot of whole breath. Stopped because I started having weird, vivid nightmares. Is that normal? Pulsating brow area also. Well, you can stop. That's okay. The whole breath, for those of you who don't know, H-U-U-L breath, go onto my channel and type H-U-U-L breath. That is the fundamental energy practice that I teach. It means that your energy pathways are opening up. It also means that you're getting connected to your unconscious fears. So, like anything else, if you're doing a high alkaline diet or a cleansing diet and, you don't want to be on the toilet all the time, you can go ahead and back off. But all that, it's normal for you because what it's doing is it's opening you up. So you're doing a lot of cleansing. If you were in an ashram under the guidance of a teacher, they would probably keep you doing it, and then you could talk to somebody and, all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of hard when you're doing it by yourself. So just keep going. You'll be okay. Let's see. Again, I'm looking for the questions. I wonder if you have a simple spell for money that anyone could do quickly for immediate results. So Darren, listen to what I said earlier. Money is not your problem. I don't care if you win the lottery tomorrow. If you are in fear, it doesn't matter how much money you have. So even if I gave you that spell, I wouldn't be doing you a service. Having said that, if you get a Vedic reading from me, I can give you a mantra which will connect you to the planet and the energy that wants to help you on a financial level. But I'm telling you right here and now, your problem is not money. Okay? Listen to what I have to say as we go on, and you'll see what I mean. Okay. I'm sure others would love to hear your answer to this question. Unless you have answered it before, laugh out loud. What is your opinion on coffee and how it affects your aura, three selves, spiritual journey? I don't drink coffee. This is right now. This is just herbal tea with no caffeine in it. It has a lot of cinnamon and rooibos and stuff like that. I don't do coffee. I stopped doing coffee a long time ago because coffee does two things that are not good for you. One is people do it for this reason. because it stimulates the adrenal glands, and so it does fill you full of adrenaline, which is a fight or flight. So coffee keeps you in your reptilian brainstem, so you don't think super clearly. It keeps you in fear. It's not good for you that way, but it also it drains you because your adrenal glands pump everything out, and then you crash, and that's why people get addicted to caffeine because of that. At least as far as I know. The other thing is that besides the caffeine, the coffee itself literally strips your nerves of the protective sheath, which is why coffee you make what people call being wired. It's horrible for your nerves. So it's one of the worst things you can put in your body. So on the aura, obviously it's going to drain the aura. It's not good for the three selves because you can't think objectively. It's just not good, period. I mean, it's tough. It was one of the toughest things that I ever quit. But I remember going through caffeine withdrawals. So my opinion is that it's not good, and I don't recommend doing it. So it's lower self. Okay, Amazon Joe is asking about the Hool breath because he was having some his third eye, which, by the way, all that means is that you've got a blockage in your third eye, and there's a lot of energy going there. So again, back off. Let it happen naturally. Do it less, but you can still power through it if you want. It's up to you. Yes, it's lower self detox. He's talking about the dreams that he had. Yeah, that's it. There are three kinds of dreams. There's the actual psychic dream, where you dream something that's you're talking to an actual being, or you have a prophetic vision. There's those kinds of dreams. You leave your body, all that kind of stuff. Then there's dreams that are your fears, which are nightmares. You dream about the things that you're afraid of, your unconscious psychological issues. And third is your fantasies. So you're either dreaming about what you fantasize, about what you wish you had, you're dreaming about what you're afraid of, or you're actually having a dream. So what you're talking about, dreams of leprechauns chasing you and trying to shove you in pinhead boxes and 90s movies nightmares, those are just your childhood fears that are stuck in your unconscious that are cleaning themselves out. So that's all that is. Romneon, Germany, go back to the beginning after it's archived and watch it from the beginning, and you'll see what I said. Okay, somebody's giving me his phone number because he needs my help. If you need a session from me, go to astrology.thunderwizard.com and purchase a session from me. I'm not going to call you on your phone. What would be the best way not to get angry at work? To quit your job and find a job you like. That's the best way. Okay, people listen up if you want to wake up. Okay, so some guy's putting his opinion. I'm not going to respond to that. I'm only going to respond to questions. What do you think of the 5 Tibetan rites? I can't remember them, but if I remember correctly, I think I liked them. Long time ago I looked into them. I think I liked them. They were similar enough to my Qigong exercises that I looked into them. I can't remember them now. I obviously didn't keep up with it, so it didn't hold my attention long enough. So, I mean, I got nothing against them, but I think my stuff is probably better for me. So that's the stuff that I teach. Okay, so let's move on. Let's take a look at the list. Again, I've got about an hour before I have to take a call. So let's take a look at the list here about what to ask yourself in terms of working for yourself and unplugging from the matrix. Okay, so I didn't really state it, but we're sort of talking in the beginning about number one, is your job serving you? So when somebody asked, how's the best way to get over anger at work, the best way is to quit your job and do something you want to do. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you have to quit today. Feel free to take your time and exit, unplug yourself, so that you don't go through toxic shock like Neo does in the movie. Is your job serving you? We've all done those short-term jobs. I did one not too long ago. I won't tell you what it was, but this was when I was after my divorce, and I was making my way back to Southern California, and I had no job and I had no money, and I was living on my friend's couch, and I went and did a part-time job, under the table job, doing something was really crappy, and it got me through whatever I was doing. So there's nothing wrong with that. I have nothing against labor and going out and working a job and breaking a sweat and making money. If you need money, go work. But I'm talking about being stuck in a job you can't stand. So the first thing is your job serving you? Is your life better off because you have this job? Is this job helping you to create a lifestyle that makes you happy? Are you able to do the things you want to do? One of the reasons that I divorced my ex-wife is that she came to me, and very rightly so. This was the universe speaking through her. The universe was telling me two things in this. The universe was telling me this is definitely the wrong woman for you. And the universe was also saying, wake up, man, and do what you need to do. And what she said to me was, I can tell you're not happy because you're not surfing, and I can tell you're not happy because you're not spending time in the mountains. Now, I wasn't doing any of those things because, number one, I chose to live in Idaho because that's where she wanted to live. And I was also working my ass off trying to get my business up and running. And she wanted, she didn't want to support me financially in my fun stuff. She wanted me to be she wanted me to be an at-home husband and do all the cooking and the cleaning and all that. And she wanted me to be self-supporting. And she wanted me to do all that. And so, I said, okay. And I was working my tail off, writing books and trying to get my business up. And I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do. So in that statement, she told me that she's the wrong woman for me because she felt guilty because I wasn't doing what she could tell I wanted to do. And she wasn't interested in creating a lifestyle for the two of us together. But she was right. The universe is saying, you're not doing what you want to do. And she said, I want you to be self-sufficient. That's the universe was telling me. You being self-sufficient means going and living the life you want to live. So if you live to make money, that's a sure way to get yourself sick and miserable. One of the interesting things is when I'm following my deepest desires, I have more free time than I've ever had before. And sometimes there have been times when I look at my bank accounts, like I don't have a lot of money, but everything gets paid for and I still have money left over. And there have been times when I've had lots of money coming in and all of a sudden, but I'm in debt. And I can say that those times when I'm operating from fearlessness, I've always had everything that I need. And I've always been comfortable and happy, and I always have time to do what I want to do. So is your job serving? So the second one is, let me see again, what is the second one? Okay. Are you working to please others? So let's talk about this. The idea of having money, a lot of people work to earn money because they think that's what a good person does. If I'm a valuable person, I need to go out and make a lot of money. So there's a lot of people whose entire identity is based on how much money they make, what kind of car they drive, what kind of handbag they carry, where do they go on vacation? Do they drink the best wines and all of that? And there are people that really their egos really attached to all of that. And so that is a form of working for other people because you're trying to have the things that make you look good. So you work hard to make a lot of money so that society will accept you. And here's another thing that I've learned is that, you don't need a lot of money to have good stuff. Obviously, if you have kids and all that kind of stuff, then you're going to need a bigger income. I don't. I've never wanted kids. I'm totally single. I don't have any kids. I don't even have any pets. I don't have anything that I only have to worry about what I need from day to day. And, I live in Southern California, which is pretty expensive. But I've lived in other parts of the country where you can live cheap. You can live really cheap. I had a 2-story house I was renting in the woods for like $600 a month. So you can live cheap. So having money doesn't get you anything. So if you're working to make money so that you look good to other people, it's a waste of time. Let me get rid of another myth. A lot of guys run around thinking that in order to get women they have to have money. Not true. Not true. I've gone through periods where I've had no money and I've had no problem finding relationships. So, but if you walk around with the mindset of I'm a poor loser and I'm not worth anything, then you're not going to be attractive to anybody. But if you have a sense, a connection of yourself, that's more attractive than anything. So you don't need money for relationships. You don't need money to get your needs met. And having money in order to get other people to respect you is not living in alignment with yourself. You're living for other people. Now, again, I'm not saying you can't have money. I have nothing against it. I would not reject. If somebody dropped $1 million in my lap, I would be happy to take it and I would make good use of that money. But I'm smart enough to know that that in and of itself isn't going to make me happy. Nor is it necessarily going to, it might make my life worse. The more money you have, the more you have to protect it, and then people buy houses, and then they have to work harder to keep the lifestyle up. So, again, if you're living for others, it's not helpful to you. Are you doing a job because your dad was, whatever it was, your dad was in the oil business, so you're going to be in the oil business? Are you in realty because your parents were in realty? You know what I mean? Are you doing jobs because you're trying to meet somebody else's expectation, whether it be a spouse, whether it be your mom or your dad, whether it be your clique of people you hang out with, your society, or is it just an idea in your head? There are some people who think that in order to be a good person, they have to work themselves to the bone. And if they don't work themselves to the bone and work 40 hours a week or 60 or 80 hours a week, then they're not a good person, then they're lazy. I mean, I've dealt with this so many times in my life where, my self-esteem was really connected to, did I make money today? And remember, I told you in the beginning, for those who watched from the beginning, when I'd drive home, loosening my tie after working in that cubicle, working my way up to being number 2 salesman in the company, and driving by the beach, too tired to do anything, pounding headache, because I'd been throwing my soul in the toilet because I'm trying to sell things to people they don't need, and I was successful at it. But I'm driving home, and I drive past the beach, and I see these people surfing in the water, and I think to myself, those people lived today. They went and connected to reality. And I didn't. I just wasted my life energy for what? A couple $100? It's not worth it. So are you working to please somebody else? And a lot of people, again, don't even realize they do this. And a lot of people, when I talk to them, this is especially true of people who say, I don't know what it is I truly want. If you say, I don't know what I truly want, I'm 98% sure that you are living for other people. Because even a little kid knows what they want. If I ask a little kid, in your fantasy, what is it that's going to make you happy? If you lived in a perfect world and the only thing you have to do is be happy, what is it you want to do? And they're going to say, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a cowboy. They know exactly what they want to be. Of course, that changes as they get older. Maybe they do become an astronaut. Who knows? But little kids know exactly what they want. And that's because they don't have any of this other, intellectual, psychological garbage, about their worth connected to what other people think about them. They're just little kids. So if you don't know what you truly want, then I'm almost sure you're living for other people. You're working, that means your job. You're doing a job in order to meet somebody else's standards, not your own. So I'm going to do some business and see what else we got and see if we got any questions. Okay, so number 3 is, what do you want to do? So I'm going to give you a very simple way to figure out what you want to do. By the way, the most important book you can buy from me if what you want is to be happy and also learn the basic assumption about what you are and what life is. And this is probably the first thing you should read before you read anything else, because even if what you want from me is to learn how to do shamanic ritual in order to change reality, which I do teach how to do that, then you have to have the basic understanding. In order for that, I recommend my book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. It looks like this. And you can go to michaelwilliamdenny.com and you'll find that book. I know you can't read the title because it's a little blurry on this, but trust me, that's what the title is. And so I'm going to give you a really quick technique. And somebody asked the question, the basic question, which is, how can I find the job that will bring me happiness? So I don't know how many jobs you're going to have throughout your life, or how many careers, or there may be multiple paths of happiness for you. But here's how you determine that. You play a game with yourself, and I've done this numerous times in my life, and it's interesting. I'll just show you what I've done, and then I decided, hey, this is something that works. But I remember I did this numerous times, but what I've done is I found myself feeling really trapped, especially in work and jobs and that sort of thing, career-wise, and I would start fantasizing, and without realizing it, I started fantasizing and saying, gosh, if I didn't have to do whatever it was I felt trapped by, whether it's a relationship or a job or something else, I go, gosh, what if I could just do whatever I wanted, what would I do? And then I start planning that out. And then I would wake up and I'd go, yeah, that's a nice fantasy, but that can't happen. And then a few times I went, wait a second, I can do anything I want. And then I would go do it. I'd quit my job. And, I did this when I moved to Idaho, even though I ended up falling into a trap. But what I did was I was tired of the Los Angeles runaround, and I was tired of trying to make it as an actor, and I had just gotten weaseled out of my martial arts studio and class that I had by my teacher and his teacher, and they sort of stole it away from me, and I had nothing left, and I went, well, I'm done here. And I went off, and my plan was that what I wanted to do is I wanted to hike in the mountains, and what I hadn't done is I hadn't traveled around the West. I wanted to travel all around the mountains of the West, Colorado, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, and I just wanted to camp. So I quit my jobs, I threw everything in the back of my truck, and I took whatever money I had with me, and I headed up there. And then I ended up, meeting somebody and getting married and all that kind of crap. But that was one thing that I did. That's all I wanted to do. At that moment, I just wanted to live in the wilderness. And so I went and I did it. So what you do is this. You say to yourself, all right, if I lived in a perfect universe where I didn't have to work, where money didn't exist, I didn't have to meet anybody else's expectation. And the only requirement in this perfect world is that I had to do whatever it was that gave me the greatest joy. What would I do? So I can answer that question for you right now for me. What I would do in that perfect universe is that I would live on the beach on my favorite surf spot, and I would be able to get up and look out my window and go surfing every day. And then after I had rested and relaxed and taken a nap if I need to, because I'm almost 54, I need to take a little nap after I work out, then I would get up and I would either make videos like I am now, or I would write books, and or I would take clients. That's exactly what I do, and I'm making a living doing it. And that's how I figured it out. I decided what I want to do to make myself happy first. It's the first step. Now you're going to bump into some hurdles. Well, how am I going to make a living? Well, but I'm just too lazy, blah, blah, blah. People ask me this question, which they don't realize it, but it's a cop-out, which is, well, what if all I want to do is drink beer all day? And that's not what you want to do. Drinking beer, somebody asked this, well, what if makes me happy is cheating on my wife? Cheating on your wife won't make you happy. If you want to drink beer all day, or if you're wanting to cheat on your wife, it's because you're not happy with yourself and you want to escape your feelings. That's not happiness. Happiness is that thing that you do that gives you joy and makes you healthier and happier. And everything that you could do for joy, you can make a living out of. So, for instance, I've got, you see in the beginning of the thing, you see me surfing, right? In the beginning of this, you see me, a little clip of me surfing. That's actually an advertisement for my own surfboard company. Now, I don't make hardly any money on that. I just do it for fun, and I have a setup where, if somebody wants to buy a specially made surfboard from me, they can, and I go and make it done, and I make, maybe $100 if I'm lucky. But I do it because it's fun. But even if I wanted to make that my business, if that was my true goal in life, I could do it. If I wanted to make surfing lessons or surfing videos, if I wanted to take a camera to the beach, I do this. People do this at the beach I surf at, and walk around and say, hey, for $20 I'll film you surfing. I could make my entire life based around that. Anything that you do that gives you joy, you can make a career out of. One of the first things people say, which I think is probably a first step to what they really want, but when people say, I love to travel, I just want to travel. Well, you can make a living doing that. You can make a living doing blogs, doing videos, doing YouTube videos. Recommendations. You can be, there are people that get paid to go stay in resorts so that they can review them. You can make a living doing what you want to do. I don't care what it is. So figure out and ask yourself what makes you happy. And focus on that. And the money will work itself out later. Okay, so let me take a look here. I'm just going to have fun and let you watch me surf for a second here. All right, so I already got into number 4. Make money doing what you would do anyway. That was a mantra I gave to myself because I was in that spot. I had sort of made the transition to making sure that the priority was that I lived where I wanted to live and do what I wanted to do. And then I started thinking about money. So one of the things that happened is that I'm writing these books, and I was making like $300 or $500 a month on my book sales. Which, by the way, I've had people contact me. They get upset because I put stuff out there and they go, I've been your student for a while and I've bought all your books and you never taught me that. And I didn't get into it, but it's like, you know how much money I make on each book sale? If you buy a $15 book from me, I'm lucky if I get $5 out of it. So, I was making, that's pretty good. If I was making $500 a month, I was doing pretty good. But I needed more money, and one of the books I was writing on was runes. And so this is when I was living in a cabin in the woods in North Idaho, because one of my bucket list was I wanted to live in the wilderness away from people, and I was the last cabin in the woods that had electricity. And once you went past me, then there was no more electricity, and I was, at the foot of the mountains up there, and the only other, I had to get my internet through satellite, and if it was cloudy, I didn't have any internet. The only people around were the few residents that lived around there, and moose and eagle and grizzly bear and all that. And so I was like, gosh, there's a Walmart 20 miles down the street. Gosh, should I go work at Walmart? And I thought to myself, that's the last thing I want to do. I wanted to write books. So I was writing my books on the runes and making some videos. Thunder Shamanism and the Spell of the 9 Knots were made when I lived up there. So if you want to see where I lived, you can go to those videos. You'll see where my house was. And I was like, what am I doing? And that thought came to me, which was, what is it that I'm doing now? Let's make money doing what I'm already doing. And what I was doing is I was studying the runes, and I was writing about the runes. So this is where these books came from right here. In fact, that cover photo of rune divination, that tree stump was right out in front of my front door, and I took some homemade runes and strew it over that and took the picture. And I thought to myself, well, who makes money off of runes? And I thought, well, there's a lot of people that make money off of tarot cards, and there are people who do phone psychic work with tarot cards. And I said, I'm just going to use runes instead. And I had never done that before. I had no idea what that was going to be like. I had no idea if I was going to be any good at it. I was really nervous about it. But that was better than working at Walmart. So I went online and I found out how do you become a phone psychic, and I applied to a bunch of different ones, and I got hired, and then I started working as a phone psychic. And people would ask me questions, and I'd just look at the runes and I'd interpret what was in front of me. That's how I learned how to interpret runes. So all of my understanding of runes came from a need to make money doing what I was doing anyway. So that's the other thing. You don't have to be a master at it. I do have students. I think one is watching now, who wants to do that. And I said, you're ready. Go do it. Just you have my blessing. You can say you're my student. You're a master psychic. You're a master rune shaman. Go do it. Make money now. Which means you don't have to feel like you're a master of it. The only thing that matters is that you're passionate about it. Yeah, and you might have to struggle for a while. You might have to eat a lot of top ramen, and peanut butter sandwiches, until you get better at it. But if you are operating from something that gives you your deepest joy, if it's something that you would do in your spare time, so when you're working all these other crappy jobs and you have enough spare time, what are the things that you do for fun? What books do you read? What subjects interest you? Those are the things that you're meant to do for a living. How you're going to make that for a living, I don't know. You'll create a way. And there's so many ways to do that now with the internet. So stop worrying about how much money you have. And here's one of the main excuses that you got to get rid of. Well, I'll do what I want to do after I make some money. The universe does not work that way. The universe does not respond to that kind of fear-based understanding. What happens is if you are working some crappy job just to make enough money so that then you can have enough space to then go do what you want and try and turn that into a business, the universe sees that as acting from fear, and no matter how much money you make, you'll still be in debt. Guaranteed. But when you jump off that cliff, if you are committed to your own happiness, I did things because I was determined that I was going to be happy, and I didn't care how poor I was going to be. I didn't care if I lived in a shoebox. As long as I had all my basic needs met, my main concern was, was I happy doing what I was doing? And it would, however long it took for me to find a way to build up money to create a business out of it, that's what I was going to do. And once I committed to that and made that decision, then all of a sudden, things started going through the roof. And I jumped off the cliff and moved to the mountains here in Southern California. I didn't have the money. I used my credit cards to pay the down payment on a rental cabin to move into. And as soon as I moved in, I started up with a company, and I got, I made like $1,000 that month. I think I made $1,300 just on the phone, and to me that was a lot of money at that time. So that was a huge jump, and it was in direct response to me taking action against everything that was in front of me and all of my feelings, all of my fears. If I had followed my fears, if I had followed the pain in my body, if I had followed all the well-meaning friends who said, well, what you should do is you should go work and then make a bunch of money first, and then if I had followed all that, I would still be in Seattle right now living on my friend's couch. That's in a lot of pain, complaining and thinking, I wonder if I should go on disability. That's where I would have been. So it starts with making that decision that you are going to do what you want, what makes you happy, first and foremost. And you're not going to let anything stop you. You're not going to let poverty stop you. You're not going to let other people stop you. You're not going to let physical disease stop you. You're not going to let doubt, fear, insecurity. You're not going to let anything stop you. So remember, again, look at the 5 rules. You have to follow know what the 5 rules are in order to get the most out of this. I'm going to tell you the story again of one of my friends. I have, the people, I watch everybody in my life, even my so-called enemies. And I watch them. My greatest teachers are the people who are the most unhappy. And I watch and I listen to the way that they talk, and I ask myself, what is it that they're doing? And then I do the exact opposite. And so I had a friend, I still have him, he's a friend of mine. He doesn't watch this channel, so I don't think, and I'm not going to mention him by name, so it won't matter. But he's a friend of mine I've known for years, and he got in a fear loop virus, as I call it. He, when I knew him, he was a musician, and he wanted, both of the guys that I've been using as examples, both were musicians. This guy was a musician, and he, like all musicians, wanted to have a band and all that kind of stuff. And he had another passion, which was radios, and he got involved in that. And that ended up giving him a job working for television stations, working for their antenna repeater signal, however they, keep their signals moving, whatever. And he would drive around repairing those whatever those things are. And he was making good money. He was making 6 figures. And he saw me as I was making my way back here to California, and I had little to no money, and I was broke. But you know what? I wasn't complaining, and I was doing what I wanted to do. And he said, I really, I envy you. I wish I had your life. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You're making a lot of money. He says, yeah, but I'm trapped. I hate my job, and I can't leave because I'm addicted to the money. He says, I don't know what I would do. And I said, well, go ahead and quit your job and sell your house and take that money. And he says, yeah, I know, but I'm just too afraid. And then he was in a relationship that he didn't want, and he wanted out of his relationship, and his girlfriend was pressuring him to marry him, and he didn't want to do that. But he felt guilty. He felt like he owed her something, and so he would go back and forth about, he owed her and he should marry her, and then he would complain about how much he hated being with her. And, I would say the same thing. Go do what you want to do. Who cares? You can't live for other people. If you're not happy, leave. There's no point in staying in a relationship that's not going anywhere. And eventually what ended up happening is that he started to act out at his job, and he almost got fired, and he almost lost his pension. And then he had a brain aneurysm, which put him in the hospital. And then his girlfriend married him. And now he's living with her. And he's miserable. The kids live with them, and He's a very unhappy guy. I mean, he's, I wish him all the best. He'll probably get better. But I saw that, and I went, I'm not doing that. That's a fear loop. If you're doing things out of fear, if you're making money, if you're staying with the job, if you're staying with the relationship because you're afraid of being without it, you're operating from a fear that the universe won't provide from you. You're operating from a fear that you don't deserve to live your deepest desire. And when you operate from fear, the universe punishes that by making things worse. Even if you have the 6 figures, you might be sick, or somehow you'll still be in debt because you can't pay all of your bills and your mortgage. That's just the way it works. So get rid of the idea that having X amount of money is going to make you safe and happy. It doesn't. It doesn't. Money is here to serve you. It's just an idea. It's just energy. And when you understand that, then you'll have no problem charging people to work for them. So anybody that connects with me, lots of people connect with me and try and get me to work for them for free, and they, want to pull on the lever of you're a spiritual teacher and I just need help and I say, no. My time is valuable to me. Right now, my time is $108 an hour. And I think that's a pretty good deal. But that's because if you want my time and you want to pay me to serve you, then that's what it's worth to me. And if you don't want to pay it, I'm okay with that. But again, you pay for what is valuable to you. So that's another thing. My prices may go up here pretty soon. Because the more that I charge, the more value it's going to be of you and the more you're going to get out of it. So, anyway. So there's that. I think I've gone through all 4. I'm going to do some business, and then I'll answer questions, and then I got to get off in 20 minutes. Got to get off this and take a call in 20 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to respond to a statement, even though it's not a question, but this is important. Romneon, Germany. He seems like a young guy. You say, I still don't know about my future. I'm 16 and woke up 15. I'm assuming what that means is that you're 16 years old and you feel as though you woke up spiritually at age 15. He says, I have many interests, but mainly waking people up. But I can't imagine having it as a job because I want to share all for free. So I'm going to say something that you probably may not agree with right now and you may not understand. You are doing everybody a disservice if you don't charge people for your time and your abilities. So if your deepest desire is to help people wake up, meaning you want to be a spiritual teacher. Listen, there's nothing wrong in giving things away for free if that's what you want to do. A lot of times what people do is they will apprentice, and this is a little different from what I don't mean the same way when I use the word apprentice, but that's what an apprentice is. You go and study with somebody, and in exchange for payment, you work for them. And then, I would do this with students when I had a martial arts class. Students would come in and they would pay for the class. But then I would force them to teach. A new student would come in and I'd say, okay, go teach them the basics. Go teach them the first 2 sets. And then I would come and watch because, that's how you learn, by teaching. So that's one way to teach for free. But understand that that's study. That's like on-the-job study training. But also I see a lot of people who believe that spirituality should be for free. Most of the time they're young and they don't have money and they want teachers to teach them for free. And that, in my experience, a lot of time is because they still have the child mindset and they see teachers as parents. So a lot of, this may not be you, I don't know you, but a lot of times this is people who have a dysfunctional relationship with their parents, and they're looking for a parent, and they see a spiritual teacher and they want the spiritual teacher to be their parent, and so they want them to teach them for free. I've had people say to me, you know, but I'm offering you my friendship. And I go, but I never asked to be your friend. When did that become the deal? At what point did I say, I'll teach you in exchange for your friendship? I got friends. I don't need you as my friend. You know, I'm glad that you want to be my friend. That means that you have an unconscious attachment to what is I'm teaching. But that's a very childish viewpoint, to expect teachers to work for free, to give you of their hard-earned time. I've had people contact me and say, you know, you should give astrology readings for free. If you were really a teacher, you'd give this away. And I'm like, I spent years learning this. And I spent a lot of money buying the books and studying with teachers and getting astrology teachings. I paid teachers for their time. Why would I turn around and disrespect them by giving it to you for free? Very childish. So you need to charge people. So that's, you know, anybody who wants to work for themselves, you owe it to people to charge them, especially if you're a teacher, because money protects them from your agenda, because there has to be an exchange of energy. And if you don't charge people money, guess what happens? That's when people get romantically involved with teachers. That's when teachers take advantage and abuse students, because there has to be an exchange of energy. So when I charge people for my time, not only does it, you know, pay me for my time so that I can live my life, not only does it send a message to the universe that this is worthy to you, not only does it make you pay attention because you paid money for it, and you're definitely going to put into practice what you're learning because you paid for it, you damn well paid for it, you're going to get something out of it. And when people don't pay for stuff, they don't put it into practice. I've seen it. When I taught for free, I made the mistake of teaching for free. People didn't follow what I taught them. I still kind of am doing that. Everything I give away on the YouTube channel is for free. And there, some of those things, if people really took them seriously, you know, the Thunar Mantra Mudra video, the whole breath, you know, the Thor's Hammer Qigong. If you guys do that and make that your whole life about that, you know, if I charged you $10,000 to do that, you would put so much time and effort in that, and you would get so much out of it. We just got one guy on here who's doing the whole breath, and it's opening up his third eye, and he's having nightmares because he's getting cleansed on so many levels. That's the power of the stuff I'm teaching. So I don't know, maybe I should charge for it. But the point is, you trying to get something for free, you're doing yourself a disservice. And any teacher who gives away valuable teaching for free without some kind of energetic compensation is not only doing the student a disservice, they are putting the student at risk, because then you will have an emotional agenda. You will want something from them. And that is putting the student at a risk. A true teacher has to be without agenda. A true teacher has to be willing to tell you what you don't want to hear and to give you what you need in order to give you what's best. So if you are going to go into spiritual teaching, you have to charge. That is the rule. Renee's talking about paying down debt. You know what? What did I do? What was I going to say? I declared bankruptcy. I don't have any guilt. I sleep just fine about that. If you want to pay down your debt, fine. But, you know, the point is, make the decision. If you make the decision from fearlessness and you say, I am going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to pay down my debt, and that's the end of the subject, then you will do that. If working with a teacher or somebody else is money that's coming out of your pocket, then you make that part of your intention. You say, I'm going to pay for that because that's going to give me the power to make the choice to pay down my debt. So if you have to make a choice between your teaching, you know, if you want to learn from me, I'm just using me as an example, and you're having to, oh, should I pay Sifu because I'm in debt, or should I just go work and pay off my debt? Then you're fighting with yourself over what you want. And trust me, anybody who works with me, if they don't want to work with me, they don't work with me. You know, if people aren't willing to go through the stuff, they're going to walk away from me. I've learned that. So if me or whatever else, you know, if you want to spend $100 on surfboards, or because that's your deal and you're in debt, then you are investing. Whenever I was buying a lot of surfboards for a while, and every time I did that, I was investing in learning about what styles of surfboard works the best. And now I have a surfboard company, and I know how to make. People can tell me what their level of surfing is and how much they weigh and how old they are, and I can design a surfboard for them because I invested all that time and energy learning about different surfboard styles, and and so I can make a living out of that. So invest in yourself. So don't get all wrapped up in the guilt about debt. If you have a thing where you want to pay it off, then pay it off, but make it part of your decision about what you want to do for yourself. Okay, so I'm running out of time here. Your sole desire is not to win the lottery. I think that you're kidding there, Amazon Joe. You'll be just as miserable if you win the lottery and you're not in alignment with yourself. Anyway, I'm not sure, again, if you were joking or not. But in jest, there is always some truth. Yeah, I think you were kidding there. Okay. Question, using credit cards to survive, is this low energy? I don't care. Do whatever you need to do to follow your deepest desire. Invest in yourself. I don't care how you do it. I don't know you well enough to know. I would have to talk to you to find out if you're using credit cards in a way that's actually keeping you stuck in your fear loop or not. I don't know. I can see people using credit cards to invest in themselves to be able to do what they want to do, and I can see people getting themselves in credit card debt because they're trapped in a fear loop. Again, the book, if you want to learn how to learn. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong book. The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. Start with that before you try and figure other things out. Get the basic assumption down first. Renee talks about the book Wealth Shaman. That's also a great book. It's on the same vibe. It was my first book I ever wrote. And, I guess maybe it explains it a little differently. But it really does help. Okay, very hard but important question. From a neutral standpoint, what do you think about anyone having kids and no one to care for them, really, but themselves and the other parent? Your soul is programmed to leave. Again, I don't know you well enough to tell you what you're supposed to do. You chose to have kids. So first off, I hear a lot of victim mentality in that. I understand it. Sorry, I got something in my eyeball here. I'm not judging you for that. There's a lot of people that are having some issues there. Hang on for 1 second. Let me take this. Hello? Hello? Hi, Jason. You're a sales call. Listen, I'm with a client right now. I'm very busy. Please don't call me back. Thank you. Okay, somebody trying to waste my time selling me solar. I can get solar on my own. So I hear a victim mentality in that. And so the first thing you got to do is you got to own up to your life. You created it. You chose to have kids. You chose, if you've got dysfunctional guys in your life, you picked them. You chose to be there. So again, I'm not judging you, but you have to start from that. And understand that you were out of alignment with yourself when you allowed things like this to put yourself in this position. Okay? Now, is your soul programmed to leave? You have a lot of guilt. I don't know. I have to talk with you. I would have to talk with you. So if you want to schedule a session with me, go to astrology.thunderwizard.com. I think for me to give you advice without knowing any of the specifics, I could be doing you a disservice. I don't really know enough to so I wish I could answer that. What if what you want to do doesn't make you money but is fun? I don't know that I just gave you an example of how, surfing doesn't make any money, but I've shown you a couple of ways how I could make money surfing. I could make my own surfboards. I could sell surfboards. I could work at a surf shop. I could go and take videos of people surfing. There's so many ways that I could find ways to make money. I could do a YouTube channel all about surfing. So that to me doesn't wash. If what you do for fun, there are so many ways now with the internet to make money. So many ways. But you've gotta commit to it, and then when you're committed to it and you have to make money, you will find a way to make money out of it. You will do it. Okay. HughNet sucks, been there for 5 acres in the middle of the woods, now 5 minutes from the beach, still not happy. Well, then we would have to talk about that. There are other reasons why you're not happy. So, okay, Alicia, yeah, okay, good. There's a book of life and the book of the dead. You've been informed by, dude, don't jump onto my channel and just dump crap on here. I know, I don't care about that. Anyway, I can't stop people from doing that, but. Alicia, what reading? Okay, so let me see. I need a question for me. How does one justify charging members of one's own clan? I don't understand that question. What does that mean? That's not, I don't know where that's coming from. There has to be an exchange of energy. If you don't want to charge them money, then have them clean your bathroom in exchange for mowing their lawn. I don't care. There has to be an exchange of energy. This is about, you got some other weird thing going on. I don't know you, but maybe, you've got some kind of racially based, kind of thing, which I don't buy into. If anybody is in your clan, then you are helping each other. Even if you're a family member, you take care of your own. So how could you, again, something up with that question. Okay. Again, I'm looking for the questions here. Okay. I understand your point. Romney on Germany says, my idea is, for example, actually offering an ebook with 2 versions. It's the same book, but one version is free and one version is a supporter version, giving me an example. Listen, there's nothing wrong with giving out a free ebook, but make it an advertisement for other services. That's what my YouTube channel is. I give out so many free stuff. In fact, I found that that's the way, but I'm not doing it just to give it away. I'm doing it to make myself happy. Number one, I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it. I love putting videos on YouTube. I have a blast doing it, but as you see, I do business. I'm constantly putting advertisements for stuff that people want. People want the services that I give, so I advertise it. But the whole thing behind that is to again give people an experience, and those that want it, get it to as many people as possible, so that then I can use it. So make a choice: either do it for free or don't. If you're going to offer an ebook, then do it, and then have a website where people can go to and then purchase a session with you or buy another book from you. There's all, in business you do that. You give out free samples so that people can get more. I've chosen to make sure that the stuff I give for free is actually of value. It's just not empty fluff to pull you into some stupid sales funnel. I do actually give things out. But I also lead people to learn deeper and to learn more and to learn directly from me. And all of my books and stuff are very affordable, so people can buy them and all that kind of stuff. So, spend some more time learning how to do what you want to do. If what you want to do is be a writer, you can make a living out of that. Anyway. All right, so that's it for now. I am going to get off the phone because I do have a client coming up here pretty quick. Again, I'm feeling a little ugly feeling in my gut with the guy who asked about how does he charge members of his own clan. I'm seeing, he's got his name there in runes. And I just want to make sure people understand I'm not a racialist. So I don't do that. I don't do that racially exclusive thing, and I just want to be clear on that. But at the same time, I don't have a problem with people doing that, as long as they own it, and as long as they don't use their spirituality as an excuse. So again, I don't know you. I don't know anything about you. You may not be like that at all, but yeah, that just kind of hit me the wrong way. All right, so he says he's not racial, so I just have to take him at his word for it. So the answer to your question is, anybody who wants your help, they have to give you something in return for your energy. That's the bottom line. That's how the universe works. That's what our ancestors did, by the way. When the vulva, the staff carrier women went through the town, the villagers threw money at them to prophesy. So that was their own clan throwing money at them to do their job. So anyway, that's where that comes from. All right, so that's it for now. I will go ahead and close things off here. We can talk about this some more if you guys want, but again, thank you for your time, and I got to get ready for another phone call. So until next time, remember that there's only one commandment. That one commandment is following your deepest desire. And then when you do that, the universe will help you figure out how you can get paid to do what you would do anyway. And here's the book for that.